One of the most misunderstood but awesome features of Photoshop is channels. Channels. It has nothing to do with TV. It has nothing to do with cable. Channels. Grab a pencil. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going to tell you and show you. And then I'll wrap up and you can double check your notes. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Channels are saved masks. Another way of putting it, channels are saved stencils. There are some wonderful selections that the new artificial intelligence are making. I love them. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But it still, trust me, can't compete. Trust me with your intelligence. Trust but verify. I love using the artificial intelligence tools to select, for example, my subject. But hear me. Then I want to save that mask. I want to save that stencil, that selection, to the channels. Get a good look at it. I'll see it in stark black and white. We'll learn about that in a moment. And I'm going to modify that channel. I'm going to improve that channel. It's very simple. All right, so far so good. Let's walk in. Photoshop. I'm going to open a difficult thing to select. Now, let's examine this. Why might this be difficult? What tool would you use? Would you use the lasso tool? No. That won't work very well. Will I use color range? Select color range? Maybe. Will I select subject? Perhaps. I can do those things, but my goal is to get a very accurate selection in less than 5 minutes. That would be a goal. I'm trying to do everything in less than 5 minutes. But let me show you what we could do. Channels are just saved selections. If I make, now this has nothing to do with this fishing lure yet, but if I make a selection that's a rectangle, you already know, I can save it. How? Long cut, select menu. I have a selection. I have a mask. Save it. And when you save it, where does it go? I'm telling you, it goes into the channels panel. Where's it going to go? Well, it's in this document. Where? New channel. Do you want to name it? I would highly advise that you do. And I'll tell you why coming up. I'm not going to name it so you can see what happens. Operation. Huh? Yeah, new channel. That was a long, complicated route just to get a new channel. Let me show you it again. Select, save the selection, whatever is what I'm going to say. I'm going to click OK. I didn't do or make any choices in there. And what you find, and if you don't see your channel panel, you can find it here under the window menu where all the other panels are located. Deep breath. It's all good. It's all good. There's my channel panel showing up. And I see some, I don't know, some channels. What is this? RGB? I don't even know what that is. And then red and green and blue. And then, and then I have Alpha 1. Dumb name. Alpha 1. You know, that's almost redundant if you know what the word alpha means, right? Alpha, beta, omega, just a Greek word for first. Alpha 1, first, alpha, first channel. Now you would think, and I would think, that if I made another selection and I save that selection, select, save the selection, select, save the selection, blah, blah, blah. That, now predict, what's the next channel going to be named automatically if I don't name it? Well, it would make sense to me that it would be beta, but it's not. It's alpha 2, alpha 3. Now that's not making any sense. Alpha is 1. It's original. It's first. First, second, first, third, it doesn't make sense. I think alpha 1 is a very silly naming convention. But what the heck? You're going to get stuck with that if you don't rename or name saved stencils. Let's make another stencil. I'm teaching you the basics. Select, save the stencil, save the selection, save the mask. Give it a name. It doesn't have to be fancy. Oval. Well, that helps me, doesn't it, later on? When I look at my channels panel and I see some art and then I see alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 13, 14, 15, at some point I'm going to get lost. But if I see oval, oh, that was my oval. Channels are saved selections. Channels are saved stencils. That's all they are. Wrong name, channels. Wrong names, alpha 1, alpha 2. It ought to be called saved masks or saved stencils. And then if you'll name those saved stencils or masks, you win. Now another way I could play this game, I showed you the long cut. I'll make a selection. And instead of going up to select, save selection, there's a shortcut right there in the channels panel near the bottom of that screen. You'll see I'm hovering and it teaches me. Load it. Oh, no, I'm trying to save one. Oh, you want to save one. So that's the shortcut button. What does it look like? Well, it looks like a hole. It looks like a hole. Yeah. In cardboard. I'm going to click it. I just saved it. But it didn't let me name it. So when I used the shortcut, it didn't let me name it. It gave it alpha 3 and I'm heartbroken. I'm going to undo. Command Z, Control Z. So here's how I would suggest you save your selections. Hold the Alt or the Option key and click that Save button. If you're holding the Alt or the Option key, depending on your platform, it'll let you name it on the way in. Tall rectangle. So I Option or Alt click. Write that down. It's really the shortest way. Alt on the PC, Option on the Mac. Click the new button. It's fast and easy, but it lets you name it on the way in, and that's what I want to see. Okay? Now I have a saved stencil, a saved selection. Let's examine what we're looking at. White is the hole. It's the selection. White is always the mask. It's always the area where paint can go later on. Because the black is the cardboard. That's the protection. So when you see white, that's the hole. When you see black, that's the cardboard. Just so you know. Just so you know. White's the hole, black's the cardboard. I want to know that. Now I'm looking by clicking the word. I'm not clicking the eyeball area over here on my channels. I'm not clicking where an eyeball might fall. I'm not poking anything in the eyeball. I'm clicking the text, the names. That's what I'm clicking on. I have a big white rectangle, and I can see the dancing ants. You can follow that for sure. But notice that if I click on the word oval, what do I have? It's showing me the stencil called oval, but what else happened? But it brought the previous selection mask with it. So I can load a stencil and then I can travel about. And the stencil will follow, the selection will follow me. Even if I go back, I'm going to hit RGB. Even if I go back to my layer where I saw my paint on my canvas. So a stencil, once it's loaded, will follow you wherever you go. I just want you to know that. There's no other visual representation that that's what's happening, but that's what's happening when you have a stencil loaded, when it's active, when the dancing ants are around it, you can go anywhere and it comes with you. It's kind of nice. I want you to know it. All right, I understand that each of these click, click, click were my earlier saved stencils. And if I save my Photoshop file as a Photoshop file, the stencils will be saved with it. If I save my Photoshop file as a JPEG file, they will be thrown away, because JPEGs are designed to be saved as small as possible, including throwing away the saved stencils. So it might make sense to save a master Photoshop file that has all this stuff in it, and then later save out copies as JPEGs. Export a JPEG, for example. Just keep that in mind. Photoshop files retain the stencils that are saved. TIFF files can retain. It's a choice when you save. Photoshop's automatic. TIFF is a choice to save the stencils, the channels. But JPEG, sorry, no love. All bets are off. I think you took a note there. Okay, if I want to save my save stencil, save a Photoshop file. That would make sense. These bottom four that you can see in my current example are saved stencils. They're cardboard with a hole. But what are these top four things? It's fascinating, really. The key to Photoshop. If you've taken my Photoshop course, the real Photoshop course at BPSOP, you know this already. RGB, or whatever the name of the very top channel is your portal back to the layers. If I click RGB, I'm back to the layers. I'm back on my artwork. So the top channel, they call the composite channel. What is that? That's your artwork. That's your layers. That's the way back to the layers. Wait, Rick, you're saying that the layers aren't the same as channels? No. Layers are your artwork. Channels are the stencils you use to do something to the artwork. Channel's not my artwork. The stencil's not my artwork. I just use that hole to paint on my canvas. Okay. How do I get back to my layer, my artwork? I click the top channel. It's a portal. All right, that explains number one. How about the next few? Red, green, blue. I don't know what you know about the truth about color. We cover it in many of my courses. But the true primary colors aren't red, blue, and yellow, as you may have been taught in school or college or even maybe a photo class. No, the real primary colors, the true primary colors, it's science. Now I sound like someone else, are red, green, and blue. And so this entire piece of art is actually only made up of redness, and I'm looking at it on channel 2, greenness, and blue. Hey, I'm on the blue channel. I want to sit and watch that on my television. It's showing you all the redness, all the greenness, all the blueness. All right, grab your pencil. This is very important. Are all selections stencils? Yes, we've been over this. Yes. Rick, I know the answer to that is yes. Are all selections stencils? Yes. Are all selections masks? Yes. Are all masks or stencils saved? No. Whose job is it? It's yours. You got to do it. You got to save them. And a smart photographer, a smart Photoshopper, saves them. When I have a selection, I save it under the stencil selection menu, or I save it in the channel panel, like we've already seen. They're not saved automatically. Smart folk save stencils. Cool. When you save them, where do they go? The stencils panel. This is starting to sound old. But you may have noticed that anytime you open any Photoshop document, that there's a pile of stencils already sitting there, waiting. Here's the next thing you gotta know. Are all channels stencils? Yes. Are all channels stencils? Yes. As with any channel, the black is the cardboard, the white is the whole. The white is the whole, black's the cardboard. White's the whole, black's the cardboard. I get it. What about that? I just clicked on blue. It's a channel, yeah. Are all channels stencils? Yes. What's the black stuff? Cardboard? What's the white stuff? Whole. Now, it just so happens that this particular channel has a second job. He's showing me all the blueness. But it's also a saved stencil. Ooh, this is mind-blowing. So we're going to go shopping. On the shopping channel, QVC I think that is, I'm shopping on RGB. No, I'm going to shop red. And what I'm actually looking for is a head start. I'm looking for a channel that can give me a head start to make a perfect selection. I already have a perfect selection. All I have to do is find the one that's more perfect. And I'm looking for a channel with the greatest contrast from what it is I want to select, contrasted with what it is I don't want to select. This one's not a lot of contrast. Sometimes red is it. But in this case, it's not. Is it green? Ooh, much better contrast. Red, green, much better contrast. I think green's my winner. Keep clicking. Oh, no, I think it's blue. Is it red? Green? Oh, it's blue. It's blue. That is a perfect stencil. Okay, now what I'm about to do is going to look amazing, but you can follow me, I promise. It's simple. Watch. I don't want to ruin the blueness of this photo. And so I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to make a copy of it. And you can do that in two places. There's a little flyout menu under channels where you can duplicate whatever channel you've selected. Duplicate channel. The other way to do it is to grab the channel you want and drag it down to the plus sign. That little button with a plus sign in it, and it also duplicates it. However you choose to do it, duplicate the channel and it auto names itself. Blue copy. What's the white stuff? Whole or cardboard? That's right. White is always the whole. The selected stuff. Black is the cardboard. The not selected stuff. Well, then this one's backwards. I went shopping for good contrast. I found good contrast, but now I'm looking at this and I'm realizing that the blacks and the whites are absolutely inverted. They're backward. I need what's currently dark to be white and what's currently white to be dark. It's inverted. It's flip-flop. It's a negative. It's backwards. And so, no harm, no foul. I'm not playing with the original blueness channel. Remember, I made a duplicate. Is that duplicate a stencil? Yes. Wow. Here we go. I'm going to go to the image menu. This is a long cut. And go to adjustments for the whole channel that I'm looking at, for the whole stencil that I'm staring at. And you'll notice there's an invert me. Invert. They left off the word me. Invert. And it flip-flops black and white. And if I pick that, I've got a better stencil, you'll see. The keyboard shortcut is Command or Control I. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. I'm going to train myself to do that. Command I. All right, what's the black stuff? Cardboard. What's the bright stuff? Whole. But it's not quite white. It's almost white. It's close to white. And so I'm going to show you 3 tricks I do to play with these automatically saved stencils. I want to get more whiteness, more whole, and more cardboard. more cardboard. And so I have 3 magic tricks that I use. Now I also have a handout that describes all of this to you. Tell me you want my stencils, channels handout. Everything I'm telling you is in the handout. Okay? I want the channels and stencils handout, Rick. I'll send it to you. Send me an email. Here are the 3 tricks. They're on my handout. Levels. Command L or Control L. Mac user, I'm 1. Command L. PC users, Control L. Levels. And you're going to see a panel with these weird sharp mountain ranges. Look at those mountains. I wouldn't want to climb that mountain. Those represent the major tonal values, tones, shades in this image. Now I see a big, tall mountain over on the left. That's the black stuff. That tall mountain represents a lot of black stuff. On the far other side, I see a kind of medium-sized mountain, a little spike really, that represents all the white stuff. Well, what is this right here? What is that? If that's the black and that's the white, what is this? Well, it's all this stuff. It's the almost white stuff. Oh, we're not going to climb a mountain, but we are going to hike. Grab that little triangle that's under the white. And I'm just going to pick it up and hike past the mountain. We're going to walk past the mountain with that slider. Here we go. Watch. I'm picking it up and I'm walking past the mountain. And I don't know, but did you look up? Look what happened to all that in-between stuff. Listen, I'm trying to cut a good hole. But it's not sort of hole. It's a hole. And so I can control how much hole I get by pushing the gray stuff, the almost white stuff. Now everything past that little white hike we took, everything past that little white triangle has become white. That is the first of my 3 tricks. I use levels to hike those grays to make them white. Another trick I'll use are the dodge and burn tools. Dodge and burn. Dodge and burn. Dodge makes things lighter. That's hard to remember, but burn's not hard to remember. Burn is like my cooking. It always gets darker. Whenever I cook, it burns. And when you burn food in my kitchen, when I do it, things get darker. So I'm going to burn. And I can see that there's an awkward gray area right there. Now I'm not painting it yet. I'm just pointing to it. But I'm going to burn. And if I look up with my burn tool on, I see it wants to burn midtones. Not lights or darks, but the middles. It could work, but I'm going to tell you it's dangerous. I find that when I edit my channels, I like to stay as far away from the already good white stuff as possible when I burn. I try not to burn the white stuff. I can burn the black stuff. I can burn the gray stuff. So when I grab my burn tool while editing channels, I look up and I change the range and I say, please burn as far away from the highlights as you can get. Shadows. Please burn my shadows. It's a way of saying protect my highlights. Now let's do it. Burn. Whoa. That whole area just went pure cardboard. Now I'm looking around for some other fuzzy areas. All right, here, yeah. Let's burn that out, but it's protecting my whites. Oh, let's burn that out, but it's protecting my whites. And anything else I just don't think we need, I can burn it. Burn it. First trick, levels, hike past mountain ranges of blackness and whiteness. Second trick, dodge or burn. When I burn, I burn for shadows. When I dodge from highlights, away from the shadows. if I wanted to make things go brighter, right? Dodge, oh, my highlights only, burn my shadows only, that's what I do. Okay, you'll see more. The third thing I do is really simple. I get my paintbrush. So someone asked me, Rick, when you create a channel, when you save a stencil as a channel, can you modify it? Yes, and I'm doing it. How? I'm just painting or using levels or dodge and burn to add or delete, to add white if I want more whole, to add black if I want more cardboard. So I'm painting. I'm going to get my paintbrush and I'm going to paint with my paintbrush. That is supposed to be a part of my overall selection right there. I think it was just a miscolored feather. So I'm going to paint it. Oh shoot, do I want that to be a big hole of cardboard? Undo. No. I'm going to hit X on my light switch, like we did with layer mask, X. And now I'm painting with hole. I'm painting with hole. So the third trick I use is my paintbrush. I can level white and blackness. I can dodge and burn more white and blackness, or I can simply paint it. Here's an example, a good example where the paint, you saw one, where the paint would help me. Now I'm hitting right bracket, left bracket. Right bracket increases my brush, left bracket decreases my brush. What are you talking about, Rick? Right there by the letter P on your keyboard. See them? The two brackets? I'm not holding the shift key, I'm just tapping the brackets. All right, I can change my brush size. Now I'm looking, and there's a section down here where it seems like it's just screwed up royally. It didn't save this. What is that? I'm going to go look. I'm going to go up and look back at my artwork, RGB. Oh, it was a very bright piece of metal, spiraled metal, twisted metal. That didn't work very well. So I'm going to come back down to my stencil, not the eyeballs, but the text. All right. Do I want to include that strip in my ultimate selection? I do. So I'm going to get a paintbrush that's about that size. I'm painting with white. And I'm going to click at one end. Click. And I'm going to go to the other end without dragging and shift click on the other end. Done. I just modified this amazing stencil and I added it. Okay, I'm done, by the way, but let's stop and look. Wow. We already had a great start. It was freely given. Not RGB, not red, not green. It was blue in this case. We duplicated blue. But blue was backwards. Let's do it again. Blue was, I'm going to do it in real time because I've taken all this time to talk. So I'm just going to do it. I duplicate blue, I inverted it, I leveled it. Oh, I know where to hike, just past the mountains. Cool, I see done. I got my paintbrush next, and I did some cleanup. If I need a bigger brush, I hit my bracket key. That stuff needs to go away. I want that to be a part, all of that, to be a part of my ultimate selection. Maybe I get my dodge or my burn tool. I'm burning the shadows. It remembers that and all of this. In real time, I'm done in about 30 seconds. I go back to my art. Watch. If I shift click, that's the shortcut to load the selection. Not shift, command click. Remember, command clicking anything. PC users control clicking anything makes a stencil out of that anything. So I'm going to command click. There's my selection. Hey, does it move with me when I move? When I look around, does it move with me? Yeah, look. I'm looking at the tall rectangle, but the lure, the fishing lure stencil is following me. And if I go to the oval, it's following me. And if I go to the alpha 2 and the alpha 1 and blah, 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 I'm back on my layer and it followed me. But that layer even though this artwork is now selected, it's a mask, that layer has white around it. And so I'm going to tell that fishing lure next magic trick. Command J, jump. We did it for glitter and glue. Command J, jump. And now it just jumped my selection off of its background. I no longer need the original background art. I'm throwing it in the trash. And now I have a perfect selection of a fishing lure, including all those hard to grab feathers and filaments and, oh, I wouldn't want to do this with a lasso. No way. That's how it works. Now I can take that layer anywhere I want. I can copy and paste it on another file. I can transform. I did Command T, Control T. I can transform. I can click outside of it in a transform and rotate it. Wow. You know, there's so many things to do if you could just get that thing off the page. I'm going to close this document. I'm not going to save it. Not going to save it. Let's look at another recent file. Let's look at Bambi. Hello, Bambi. I'm going to show you where artificial intelligence fails me, where Channels then rescues me. If I make a selection using the artificial intelligence, please select my subject, what do you think it's going to do? Well, there's our answer. It's pretty quick. It grabbed Bambi. Now, did it grab the white background? No. Did it grab the green fuzzy edge? No. Bambi's isolated. That's fantastic. Terrific, in fact. I think I'll save it. So I'm going to sneak over to my channels and I'm going to option click the save button and give it a name. This is Bambi. Cool. But what if I wanted to select Bambi and the fuzzy green so that I could jump them and get them off of that white background? Well, there's really no easy solution to this. There's no easy solution to this without channels. Now, I can go shopping. I'm looking for the best contrast from the white background to the fuzzy green stuff. I'm shopping. That looks like blue again. In this case, so I'm going to duplicate blue. What is it that I want to select? Not the background. So again, this one's backwards. I got to invert, Command I. I want to select that green fuzzy area. Oh yeah, and Bambi. But we've already got Bambi saved. I'm going to open levels. Oh no, look at how many mountains there are. And I'm going to start dragging. Past that mountain, past that mountain. You see what's happening? And the further, oh, right there. It looks like I had to drag past that mountain to get rid of all of the gray in the background. Superb. I did it. Part 1. Part 2. Let's paint. I don't want this big gray thing to kind of be gone. It needs to be a part of my big stencil. Not a Chad, a dangling Chad hanging in the middle of my hole. No, that would be bad. Sounds like a medical condition. I'm going to paint it out. And I'll paint this stuff out. And I'll just paint that stuff out. That's easy. Paint. 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 Now I got near the edge right there. And it looks to me like I could use a little fuzzy. So earlier I showed you that I can hit the bracket key to change my brush size. But if you shift bracket, it will change your feathered edge. Watch right there as I shift bracket. And it can add left bracket or right bracket. It can add a little fuzziness. And that's going to help. What I'm doing is I'm painting with a fuzzy hole. It's fuzzy. A fuzzy edge wherever I want it. There's my stencil. This represents the area that I want to grab and jump. Bambi's within that. I could verify that. I'm looking at this big blue copy oval circle, but I'm going to command click on my Bambi stencil. and I can see it. Even though I'm not on it, it follows me. It travels with me. Remember, I can go look at any channel and my selection, my dancing ants will follow me. Well, this gives me an idea. What I could do here is modify. I started with the big oval, but what if I don't want Bambi? Well, then I could paint one stencil merged with another stencil. I could just paint with cardboard. I don't want you to be a part of the fuzzy background, let's say. You're out. Command D for deselect. Looks like there's a little glowy edge up here. Yeah, I'll paint that out too. Whole or cardboard? Your call. Let's go back to my main art. I'm going to command click. That's all the fuzzy greenness. I've got it, and I'm on my layer, and I can command J or control J. And it's isolated. See it? That's all I got. What's all that checkerboard stuff? Oh, that's transparency. That means there's nothing out there. Now it looks like I never did tell Bambi to jump. So I'm going to go back down to my channels and command click on the Bambi alone. Come back up to the correct layer, the one that has Bambi on it, and jump Bambi. There's Bambi jumped with my green background separated individually, so I can do whatever I want to those. I'm just making selections. Let me review and tell you what we discovered. Artificial intelligence can select a subject, but I need channels in order to get the rest of it. The fuzzy green. There is no select menu item that says select fuzzy greenness. I have to have an understanding. My intelligence added to the artificial intelligence is a win. It's a win. Let's close Bambi. Let's try another one. Rick, you say the lure was easy. It had white on the outside. It was easy. Bambi also had white on the outside. Stop using the easy stuff. Okay, fine. I'm going to use a difficult one. That is difficult. That looks difficult to me. I've already got some stencils in here. I'm going to throw them out. I'm going to start over. This is difficult. I just want the boy. And so I'm going to select. Is it red? I don't see a lot of contrast everywhere. The shirt has nice contrast from the boy to the background. But the neck is going the opposite direction. The neck is too bright compared to the background. I don't see a lot of great contrast on that one, so we're shopping. We're shopping. Oof. That's an extra. We're shopping. Okay, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of at wit's end. So I'm going to say select. Please, artificial intelligence, will you select my subject? Ooh. Oh, not bad. What would Rick Burris's little voice in the back of your head be telling you right now? You've got a stencil. Is it a mask? Yes, it's a mask. All masks are stencils. Are they all saved? No. Whose job is it to save them? Yours. Where will they go? The channels panel. So I'm going to alt click or option click the new button. Give it a name. And I'm going to go take a look. I'm clicking on the word boy. That looks pretty good. I wonder if I could modify it. Well, why would you need to modify it? It's perfect. Actually, it missed. Let me show it to you. It missed right in there. It selected the outer edge of his hair, but it didn't capture that big white blob in that space right there. Man, it was so close. That was fast, but now we're going to cheat. It's going to look confusing what I'm about to do, but don't get confused. We're only thinking about that piece right there. That's all we're thinking about. Let's go shop. That's good contrast. From that piece to the rest of it is pretty good contrast. That's better contrast. Look at red against the forehead. So the green one had a better contrast right there. I'm starting to make myself think that blue is always the winner when it's not, but it is in this case too. That's great contrast. So let's take blue and duplicate it. For what purpose? So that I can get that area right there to be a hole on a stencil. How do I do it? You know I could open levels. Wow, I got one big mountain. Here's another way to hike. Another way to hike. Instead of dragging the sliders, I've got black tipped eyedropper, white tipped eyedropper. I'm going to grab the white tipped eyedropper. Oh, you mean the hole making eyedropper? Yes, it makes things white. I'm going to click right there. That's white. Is there a cardboard making? The one filled with black, with cardboard. Well, I'm going to try to click on the next lightest color that I want to turn black. That's his forehead. I'm not going to click on the dark stuff already. It's not going to take me all the way, but the next brightest spot right here on his forehead, I'm going to click, and it just turned that into cardboard. Now, there's a lot more going on in this image, but remember, I'm only concerned with this area right here. Now, if it drives you totally insane to see all the rest of this detail, you could paint all that stuff black. You're just trying to get to this hole right here in the middle. If it drives you crazy, go ahead and paint it away and just leave that white part. But I don't actually need to do that. Let's go back to the boy stencil. That part's not missing. It's supposed to be gone. I'm going to command click to load the other stencil right on top of it. Oh my gosh, look at all that stuff. Focus, 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 focus. Just focus on that space right there. There's the hole. Get your paintbrush. Paint with black. Paint with cardboard. I don't need that big a brush. I'm bracketing. Right there. So that area just got modified. Now it's a perfect stencil. The artificial intelligence was great, but it missed that spot. We can't lose when I use the artificial intelligence mixed or merged with my own. There's a perfect selection. Let's command click it now that it's fixed, that it's been modified. Back to RGB. I'm going to zoom back out and let's jump the boy. Jump! It's up. I'm going to hide my background. We're golden. A knowledge of stencils, a knowledge of channels, has always been the way we cut things out. It's always been the way we make selections of things that we want to work on. Always. But very recently, October 2022, they added these amazing, useful artificial intelligence selection tools. And while they're amazing, they're not as good as your intelligence combined with Adobe's intelligence. That's a combination that still can't be beat, even on a difficult selection. I'm so grateful for the help, I'll tell you. One last thing I want to show you. Sometimes you cut something, let's say, out of the background and you move it to another file, or you copy and paste. I've copied this young man's head and shoulders and I pasted it back here somewhere else. But when I did that, and when you do that, you may find that there's often a glow around the edge that gives you away. I see it all the time in magazine ads. It's too bad. Could have gotten away with it, but no, this has been photoshopped, honey. This one over here has been shopped. See the glow? So I'm going to show you a trick for getting rid of the glow. But you're going to need a separate sheet of paper. How do I get rid of the glow around cutouts? You're going to need a separate sheet of paper. I'm going to command click the boy. Command click. And what do I have selected? I have the boy selected. That makes total sense. Let me show you a couple of tricks. You can, under the select menu, you can modify any mask. Now, it's not saved in this modified way yet, but I can modify the mask with something actually called modify. What I like to do, I want to shrink all the way around. I want to shrink my selection down so it cuts out the glow. I'm shrinking my selection. Let's look for the word shrink. No. I don't see shrink. Yes, you do, but they use the word. Did you say contract? Contract. 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 Not contract. Contract. Oh, contract. At this point, I honestly don't know what to type here, but I'm saying come in a certain amount of pixels. I don't know how many. I'll start with this. I don't know. It might be 8. It might be 20. I don't know, but I'll start with that. Now, what has really just happened is that all the way around my selection, it has contracted. It has subtracted 2 pixels all the way around. It's pretty wild. So what I have selected right now is everything about the boy except 2 pixels. That's what's missing. My selection, any painting I do, any artwork I make right now is going to happen inside the boy's head, but not happen on those 2 pixels. All right. You're looking at your notes. What did I do? I command clicked the boy, and then I said select, contract by a couple of pixels. Watch. Instead of image invert, no, which is what we did when we were on a mask, I'm just going to select the inverse. Oh, that's almost too similar. Image invert makes a negative. And when you're on a channel, that's perfect. Make the black white and the white black if I choose. But if I have a selection on my layer and I just want to flip the selection, I don't want him minus 2 pixels. I want outside of him. Now I've got the 2 pixels. I don't have the sky because the sky's on a separate layer. So I really have a selection right now of just those glowing pixels. And you've got 2 solutions for getting rid of the glow. Now with either solution, I don't want to see the dancing ants. I don't want to see them. And so I'm going to Command H, hide the selection. And the first time you do that, I've told you earlier, it'll say, whoa, do you want me to hide the edges? Or do you want me to hide Photoshop? Choose hide edges. And it will remember that. But if not, under view, show edges. Where is, oh, there it is. Show the extras. H. It doesn't even say edge. I don't want to see the dancing ants. I didn't invite those to my picnic. They're extras. So I'm doing that. I'm just doing the shortcut for that. Now, do I have the 2 pixels selected? Yes, but I don't have to see the dancing ants. 3 ways to do it. 1 is I could get my eraser. Don't do this. And I could erase those glowing pixels. I'm erasing. Why isn't it touching him? Because I don't have him selected. I just have 2 pixels on the outside of him selected. I'm going to undo. Well, Rick, why wouldn't you just erase it? Because we have a way to erase, don't we? That isn't permanent. It's the layer mask. Ooh, but when you have a selection, it hides everything but that. Yes, but I can click on the layer mask and invert. White becomes black, black becomes white. Just like that. Wait, what? Just like that, all the glows went away. A layer mask is a not permanent eraser. Remember, selection, we're reviewing. Contract. Okay. Select the inverse. Of course, there's a keyboard shortcut for it. and I can add a layer mask. If I have a selection before I add the layer mask, it thinks that's the only area I want to keep. I might invert it. But if I already had a layer mask before I made my selection, then I can paint with black or white on my own and decide where I want to delete the glow. Now what I'm actually doing is giving him a haircut. I'm cutting his hair all the way around. I'm not going to cut his ear. I would be a bad hairdresser if I did that. I'm cutting 2 pixels around his hair all the way around. And that is one of the good solutions for this trick. But it's not my favorite. Because when I cut that, I lost some of these beautiful little frizzies that really help to sell the effect. I'm going to throw my layer mask away. I'm not going to erase anything. I'm not erasing. We're going to go through the first few steps again. Command click, contract. I'm going to show you my favorite way. Contract, select the opposite. I just did the keyboard shortcut. Command H, I don't want to see the edges. I'm set. What I like to do is keep all the hair, but change its color. I use the clone tool. I could grab a particular color of his hair and paint that particular color all the way around on those 2 pixels. But that also will look fake. Instead, the magic trick is to clone from existing hair all the variation of that hair. And you do that by option clicking or alt clicking. Grab some hair. It just loaded that hair into memory. I go up and I paint, I paint on the glow. I've contracted by 2 pixels. I've selected the opposite. I'm hiding the edges. And that's where my paint is allowed to go. I can only paint out, but wait a minute. It's letting me paint, but it's allowing my paint to go anywhere outside there. So when I option click, it could go there. Oh, I don't. One last piece. I only want to be able to paint where there's already paint. Now remember, that sky is on its own layer. If I try to clone, option click, it'll let me clone anywhere. There's no paint out there yet, but it's going to let me put paint out there. I get that. Go on. But you have a little shortcut, a little helper. Look above your layers and it says, would you want me to lock something? Protect something? Yes. Lock the checkerboard. Lock the transparency. And a little lock just showed up and it says, I will not let you paint where there's not already paint. It's protected. It's like a double mask. The paint can only go where there's already paint. And if that's the case, and I'll show my glow again, if that's the case, when I clone, it's only allowed to clone where there was already paint, the glowing pixels. So I'm not painting with a solid color of hair, nor am I deleting or giving him a haircut. And I keep re-clicking, by the way, as I'm traveling around, grabbing new areas that matches the light and the texture. If there was a fuzzy, I still have a fuzzy. So I'm showing you what I would do. Oh, look at those beautiful cut hairs. I'm showing you what I would do to get rid of the glow should you bump into it. Let's do it all one last time and I'll be done with you. Command click. Check your notes. Select menu, modify, contract. Choose a number of pixels. Select the opposite of that, the inverse. Now I can paint outside, but I don't want to be able to paint anywhere outside, just on paint. And so I lock my transparency by clicking that button. There's another shortcut for locking transparency. It always makes me ask why? Why? It's the question mark key. Plain old. Why? I know. And that's how I remember it. The question mark key. Why? Locks transparency. H to hide, Command H to hide the extras, and I'm golden. Those were all the steps. Cloning with real hair. That was the whole shebang in real time. You've taken great notes. You can go back and rewatch the video. Channels. Oh. Selections that are saved, that save your bacon. When used with their artificial intelligence, your saved channels, modified, perfected, can really save the day and make the difference between an amateur completely and a pro-am. You're now pro-am, I promise. Keep practicing. It's hard. I know it's hard. This is all new cortex being pushed in your head. It's important, it's useful, and you've got all the tools right here to rewatch and learn. Remember, you can watch these for life at your own pace. Can't wait for the next bonus video.